What's up, Internet? You're tuned in to episode 7 of Nintendo Noise, Flip Screen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. Of course, I am your host, Pete and Bessie, joined, as always, by my very good friend, Mr. Steven Radford.
Hello.
And the mayor of Haken, Mr. Chuy Huerta.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. It is going well, boys. Welcome back to another week of Nintendo Noise. Coming off of last week's show, I think it's gonna be a little hard to match just the insane highs that we hit on last week's show. But I will say, this is maybe the most, non-direct news that we've had to dig into on a show. So I'm pretty confident this is going to be a great episode. We're going to be talking about N64 games potentially coming to Nintendo Switch Online. And then, of course, we got a major update to the Switch's services this week that finally brought Bluetooth audio support. That's what I was trying to say there. So we throw out the question to the rest of you all on what should come next. So we're going to talk about both of those things. But before that, let me tell you all about where you can find us all over the web. Of course, we are Nintendo Noise, and we are wherever you get your video game podcast. We're there making some great content for you. And of course, I'll take this opportunity to say that we are supported by our patrons. This episode of Nintendo Noise was brought to you by the Patreon producers for the month of September. They are, of course, Christopher Valenz, a.k.a. That Doc Guy, Zaid Ida, and Wakahula. Thank you so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. If you want to go show your support for just $2, you can get access to One More Thing, which is our weekly Patreon exclusive podcast where we keep the mics rolling and we talk about things outside the world of video games. Like this week, I basically just bitched about Twitter to Steve, and we talked a little bit about online negativity and just some stuff that was sticking in my craw a little bit. So Steve talked me through it. He's a good friend. It was good. He talked me off the ledge. So if you want to go check that out, it is a good time. It is a nonsensical show. It is the best way to show your support for what we're doing here and what we're trying to build here at Flip Screen Games. And you'll get a little bit of extra show in your feed every week. So win-win. But if you don't have those bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. There are a bunch of other ways you can support the show. And, in fact, there's a free other show that you can get out. If you've only checked out Nintendo Noise, of course, you should go check out our sister show, the Flip Screen Games podcast, where on this week's show, Steve and I talked all about Deathloop, some of my initial impressions, and kind of having the debate on where it stands right now in the current Game of the Year conversation as we ramp up some crazy amount of releases that are coming out the last couple weeks. How's Deathloop stacking up? So if you want to hear our thoughts on that, go check that out. And of course, you can actually go check out last week's Twitch stream where we played some Deathloop with the audience. We answered some questions. It was a good time. And one of the things you can get over on our Patreon is going and voting on what we'll be streaming this Thursday, because every Thursday night, Steve and I, and sometimes Chuy, are there playing a game for you, and we often let the patrons weigh in on what they feel like seeing us play. So if you want to go be a part of that, of course, head over to the Patreon and cast your vote. And for all the rest of our links, of course, you can head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where we've got links to all of our accounts all over the rest of the web. Come follow us on social. Come join the Discord. Or write into us at questions@flipscreen.games, just like a bunch of folks did this week for our question block segment. Like I said, we've got a pretty packed show, so that's enough shilling for now. We're going to jump right into story number 1, which is N64 games potentially coming to Nintendo Switch Online. Of course, this comes hot off of the rumor we discussed just a few weeks ago, where we talked all about Game Boy games coming to Nintendo Switch Online. There seemed to be a lot of rumors around that, a lot of kind of, a lot of little tidbits that seem to be pointing that that's the case. And similarly, we seem to be getting some breadcrumbs that maybe point to N64 games coming now. So Nate Drake, who is, of course, an insider, he's broken a number of stories in the past about similar kinds of rumors that ended up coming true, was the one who kind of got this going on his podcast. This is a quote from Nate that I'll read for you. Eurogamer went one step further, having noted that additional platforms will also be added to Nintendo Switch Online in the future. And today, I would like to add to that. Yes, that information is accurate, and one of the platforms that will be coming to the Nintendo Switch Online in the future is the revolutionary Nintendo 64. One of the other bits that came along with this rumor was the idea that it could possibly be a higher price tier, or that we might see the overall cost of Nintendo Switch Online increase by anywhere from $5 to $15 more dollars per month. Nate Drake said that he wasn't sure when this was going to happen, but said it would possibly happen, quote unquote, this fiscal year. And then there was kind of one other little update that we saw, at least in my lexicon, it originally came from a friend of the show, Pixelpar, who showed off a patent for a new controller. And it is in a similar kind of like format to the patents we'd seen for like the Super Nintendo controller or the NES controller. Because it was actually HAC 043 was the name of the controller, patent submitted for approval, and HAC 042 was the Super Nintendo controller. So a lot of speculation there. So now that I've laid all that out, I wanted to kind of turn it over to you two and ask, what do you think about this rumor in terms of its veracity? How do you feel about the idea of this, as well as potentially the Game Boy games coming alongside a price increase for Nintendo Switch Online, seeing as there are a lot of people who would argue that maybe it's not worth what we're currently spending on it for $20 a year? And then finally, what games do you want to see come? If we were to get there, we can leave that part for last. That's the most fun bit.
Yeah.
So in terms of reactions to the news, Chuy, why don't you get off the bench? What do you think about all this?
I mean, immediately, I think this is exactly what I've been wanting for like Switch Online. I think right when it became a thing, I was like, you know what? I would pay more if this got like everything through GameCube games, And so for me, like a price hike on it, if they're adding like N64 and stuff, I'm like, cool. I'm fine with that. Yeah. There are a lot of N64 games that I really like. I guess at this point, we've gotten some ports for the Switch that are N64 related. The ones I immediately think of are, of course, Mario 64 and then Star Wars Pod Racer. So like there's some of those games popping up. We've even had some GameCube stuff popping up, like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. And so for me, I'm just like, man, if I feel like that changes what we're gonna get as far as like actual ports go, but also like just having those libraries available, I'm for it. I am very excited to see that. And the controller too, I'm just like, I mean, come on, it's got to be like a N64 controller or something, maybe for that. But and I guess I wonder how they'd handle that once it gets to GameCube as well, just because we already can plug in our GameCube controllers and that sort of thing. But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, more official Nintendo produced GameCube controllers on the market. That's great.
I would want wireless. I think it needs to be wireless in 2021 or 2022, whenever this arrives. Just a quick correction on the HAC 043 thing. It's not a patent filing. It was like a radio approval thing. So similar to it's like the Japanese equivalent of the FCC. So obviously they have to submit for approval, make sure that it doesn't affect any kind of radio frequency things, so that they're in compliance with that. But it's what they do whenever they have to create a new piece of hardware, and it does follow the kind of code for it. That, I think, is the most interesting thing that kind of sways me to thinking this rumor's true. If it was just like, oh yeah, we're also getting N64 games, it's like, yeah, well, I think anyone could have assumed that was the next logical step after the SNES, even before the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color stuff. I mean, maybe we would have had a Game Boy Advance alongside the other Game Boys, Game Boy editions, but that might seemingly not the case. I think I would be, I don't know, a little bit hesitant to spend another $15 a year on it. It's a lot of money. At that point, I think, I don't know how much the family plan would cost in addition to that, but presumably that would probably rise. I mean, you're looking at potentially double the price of what you're paying per year at that point. And I think it needs a lot more to the online stuff other than the games. Like, the online just sucks. It's terrible. It doesn't work half the time. It's really, really bad. So much so that Smash players just barely play online. And it's the case that, we tried the Mario 3D World stuff. That was their latest game earlier this year that added online support. And it was terrible. It was so laggy. Like the lockstep, you gotta wait for everyone else. It's crazy how bad Nintendo is at online. So I think I'd be really hesitant at that. Maybe I would buy it for the odd month where there's a new game, like upgrade to like the higher plan, the odd month that there's a new game added to the Switch Online stuff that I would want to play. But other than that, I don't think it would be something I would want to go for. I like the idea that there's an option for it, that you pay either $5 to $15 more, or you continue having the offering you've got. Because I think a lot of people don't want that. They just want to be able to play online with friends. And if potentially we get a cheaper option where there's no games and it is literally you're just playing online with friends, I think that would be even better again. So there's potentially like 3 tiers, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've seen that kind of floated out there, right? Like, just like the idea that this would even be a higher price tier rather than like an across the board price hike, I think is extremely wishful thinking, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Nate Drake was saying on his podcast, that he's heard alongside this that it's coming on a higher tier.
And like, right, Nate Drake knows more than I do. So if that ends up being the case, like, I'm not saying that that's wrong or there's no way, but like, I don't know, that
Kind of don't believe it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like I feel like you're right there with
that.
me, Chuy, where it's like, when has Nintendo been known for offering you options?
Yeah,
You know?
that's the hard part.
Like Nintendo won't even let
basically-
you invert the camera in most of their games without a fucking update. Like,
Yeah, true.
you know?
Yeah.
We always complain that there's no easy or hard mode. It's just
The only
this is how
thing
you play it.
And I guess in some sense I could believe it because they do give us options in the sense of like controllers, where
Sure.
it's like, here are a billion different controllers that you have to buy to get your options to how to play and stuff. And on the one sense, it's like the Wii was a mess because of that, like the Wii and Wii U. I was just like, just give me one controller to play with all of these things. But in the other, it's like,
Yeah.
they could apply that to this and give us the things. But I will say, like, based on the internet not being the best, the online just not being the best, they did. When was it? I think it was sometime like last year, maybe the year before. But they were in the process of upgrading their servers
Right,
and things
yeah.
like that. So I mean,
They
if
were, but that
comes-
was like a per game basis, though, right? Because obviously
Yeah.
we had that story that there's like Windows 98 code or
Yeah,
references
it doesn't-
to Windows 98. And
It doesn't
2.2.
retroactively fix the games that already
Yeah.
have trash online, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully that means they are going forward with some of those, and Splatoon 3 will be in a better place for one.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to say too is I actually don't remember. No, I completely forgot. It'll come back to me.
Yeah. When if you remember, jump back in. I think so. I would counteract what Steve said and say I do think that this would be worth the money. I've been of the opinion that like I think that the current asking price for Nintendo Switch Online is not unreasonable. That's not to say that the online is good. That's not to say
I
that
very much disagree with you.
I mean, that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion.
Like my main reason, and it's what I've said every time, is that every other platform that charges for online, it's one per console, and Nintendo doesn't take that stance. If I have the same account as Macaulay on my Switch, we both have to have Switch Online subscription. It's not one for the whole console.
That's not
so.
how-
If you share a family,
That's not
that is how it
on
works. You have to
That is how
buy.
it works, yeah.
You have to buy a Switch family subscription, and every single member in the household has to be signed up to that family.
But I don't think that that's how it works on Xbox. Like Sarah doesn't have Xbox
No,
Live because I do. Does she?
Oh, yeah, she does. If you log in first, then Sarah can play online.
But I have to be logged in.
Yeah, but that's fine because you just log in your Switch account. You're
Yeah.
still logged in, and Sarah can play online.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Just clarifying. I wasn't aware of that because I remember we had an issue recently where she tried to play a game that I purchased on my Xbox and it wouldn't let her. So
Oh, yeah, you just have to log in first to just have a connection with the server so it knows.
Got it, okay.
And then
Yeah.
and then you can go ahead and play.
Cool.
It's the same as on PlayStation as well with PlayStation Plus, and that's my main concern with Switch Online. If they correct that, and this is like one price, it's per console now, then I'm happy to pay $5 more or $15 more.
I mean,
I will say, that price thing was the thing I wanted to bring up a bit ago. I am one of those people who may have a family plan with 7 other friends, so
Yeah.
it's like 8 of us all together on one thing. So with that in mind, I'm like, it's $4 a year for me at the moment, which is nothing
Right. Yeah.
for the online that we're given. So if there is a price hike, I recommend just finding some friends who who maybe they want a couple accounts connected, maybe they just don't want the one,
Steve, yeah,
but
if you and Macaulay want to come jump on
yeah.
my family plan, feel free.
Yeah, sure, why
But
not?
but yeah,
At the moment,
'Cause
I'm
I'll
still
say
paying like monthly for it. It's
I
crazy.
mean, that's the
it,
thing is, to me, I think it's crazy that you do that. Because, like, paying for it monthly is a bad deal. But, like, $20 a year is nothing. Like, if you...
The reason is I cancel it quite frequently because I don't play that many, or I wasn't playing that many games online.
But
After
how much is it a
I
month?
cancelled it,
I think it's like
£3. It's not a lot.
$5, £3, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I get... Yeah, I mean, like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But, like, I don't know, man. It's just, like... I think it's hard for me to accept the argument that it's not worth $20 a year when I've got... And you said you disagree. That's fine. But, like, Tetris 99 comes with that. That is worth $20 alone. Pac-Man 99, that was worth $20 alone, I think. On the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo side of things, right? Like, if you don't want to play retro games, fine. But, like, $20 to access, like, what is like 40
But
retro games?
most,
Like,
Patterns
so
on
many
Animal Crossing.
but so many games aren't there. That's the problem. Like I think, and that's going to be the big problem with the N64 is if they can't get any of the licensed games, this lineup is going to suck massively. It's going to be like 5 Nintendo games, and the rest are going to be like scraping the bottom of the barrel, like they're doing on the SNES at the moment.
I mean, that's the thing is, like, I don't even agree with that. Like, if you just had the list of just Nintendo first-party games on the N64, that's worth $5. Like, I don't know how you can say that it's not worth $5 to have access to, like, and again, say it has just those titles, right? Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, DK64, fucking Mario Kart 64, you know, Pokemon Snap, Paper Mario, you know, like Star Fox 64. I'm trying to get to 10. Give me 2 more. You know, like, again, like, that's for $5? You don't think that's worth it? To $1 per
15,
game, 50 cents per game?
Yeah, but say it's 15, double the price. So I don't know what that would make the family plan $60 a year.
It wouldn't be
think
one for
that
one
that
though,
would-
because the family plan you get it's cheaper.
Okay, so let's say it's
Yeah.
$50 a year rather than 60. Like I still don't think that's necessarily worth it
I
for me.
bet you. Okay. The family plan right here, it's $34. I always tell people like literally just find one more friend and get the family plan with them because that's already less than the $20
Yeah.
you pay for a year.
Mhm.
But I bet you it's going to be like 64 a year if
Mhm.
they add Nintendo 64.
That would be great, you know? I mean, not great to spend, but great for marketing. I think
I mean,
if
it depends if they lump the Game Boy stuff in with this higher tier.
That's
if the
my
Game
thing
Boy
is, if it's
stuff's in this higher
15
tier,
and it's just N64, that's a lot. But if it's 15 and it's N64 and Game Boy Color, that's
And
reasonable.
eventually GameCube.
Yeah, that's
I
reasonable.
don't think GameCube's coming to this. I really don't,
Probably not.
especially if they're packaging them as like special, collections like they did with the Mario stuff. I'm surprised that it's coming, even though Mario 64 is in that collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I
when
don't
do
know.
you think this is landing?
It could happen.
Because I kind of think it's coming. I thought it was coming in September because this is the month when everyone's subscriptions renew.
Right.
Because it's 2 years or 3 years since Switch Online.
I'll tell you what, Steve. I hope they
launch.
announce it soon because then I get a point in our predictions. And this was my
Yeah?
crazy pick,
Oh shit!
so I really hope it's true. Because then I win.
No, let's not announce this till January. Did you say it's launching or it's being announced?
I think announced was the thing.
It's gonna happen.
Fingers crossed,
Yeah.
baby. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar and it's just going to be busy. It's going to be so busy for Nintendo at this point cuz they're going into holiday season. They always ramp up the the releases every year and just like looking at here's this other bonus with the Nintendo Online, like they're out to just try to sell consoles against the Xbox Series X and the PS5. I think as much as, they say they don't compete, they do know it's a very crucial time of year to make sales. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and to Steve's point, right? Like, I think this is an easy thing to let lapse if there's not a reason for you to play it. So, like, they've got to have something in the chamber sooner or later.
Yeah, there's been no new big multiplayer game this half of the year, has there? Like there has the last few years.
I mean, Mario Party will be that. Ideally, I would guess.
I guess. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be huge though. It's not like the new Smash Bros.
Right.
Or
Oh man,
like Splatoon.
N64 Smash Bros. With online.
That
That changes everything.
Damn, yeah, I didn't even think of that on the list. Yeah, right? Like, here we go. Right, that's right there. Like, just put the same games that are on the N64 Classic list that we made however long ago. There you go.
And I think that's the big thing with me that, like, differentiates the N64 to even the Super Nintendo. Like, the Super Nintendo really had a pretty good focus on, like, multiplayer stuff, but, like, N64, just like adding up to 4 players and then all of these being very like simultaneous multiplayer games, it just bumps it up for me. Because like right now you play the NSO online games and everything, and it's like it's basically the same thing. You're taking your turns, you're going, oh, I died in Mario, here's your turn in Mario, right? But now like you're having games where you're actually like competing live and kind of connecting in that like couch co-op way that we haven't gotten from that service in general. So to me, I don't know, I feel like that's a big selling point
that
too.
could be like next level if it was like, oh, you can play all of the multiplayer games from the 64 online. That would be nuts.
Yeah, and because I mean that's kind of how it works right now. Like you can log into those and you can play 2-player with people online, and it's not the best, but it's something.
Yeah, it's a weird system where you like create a session and then someone joins it, and then it sort of emulates like you're on a local system together. So I presume that they would replicate the kind of same system that they've got. I also kind of hope that eventually they just make all of these one application, so I don't have potentially 4 or 5 of
it
these.
Is kind of annoying that they're
in
not.
And out.
I've always thought that was a little weird. Like it's cool from like a branding thing. Like it's cool that you can make like each one feel specific to the console that it corresponds to, but you could also just have it all be
that with tabs,
right.
So I can I open it up and I go, I want to go to N64, and then it rebrands a little bit.
Just let me
it's like
leaf
an N64
through.
theme. Yeah. Like, it would be so much easier just to have like the Switch Online app and I open it. Or there's even the Switch Online little tab on the home screen now. You could just click on that and it could open up something.
Oh, for sure. Because they added that button and everybody was like, oh, I hate that button. It doesn't look like any of the other ones. And it doesn't do like anything specific for that service.
I never use that button ever. It's like, I mean, what is the point?
It doesn't really show much, honestly. It's just like whatever.
So here's
go to the games.
It's like here's the free rug you can get for Animal Crossing. It's like, yay!
Great. So
the special offers.
Let's talk about the games we want to see. We have a few minutes to talk about this before we have to move on. Originally, we talked about each of us putting forward like 3 games. What do you say about what do we think about like? Do we want to try to make like a list of like the top 10 we want to see, or where are we at with this?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I want GoldenEye. Sure. It's like the number 1. You can't play that game anywhere else.
Why? Like
I do.
Why though? Like I really
because
I'm tired of this narrative.
I want it with no inverse Y or the ability to change it, and so I can play it on a modern controller. It's a fun game.
They're not going to do that though.
Why?
Because like
we just got an incredible Quake port with a bunch of settings. Why wouldn't you? Do that for GoldenEye?
And they did a Mario 64 port where they didn't add a free range camera. You really think they're gonna change that in GoldenEye? That's core to how
different.
GoldenEye
That's like
controls.
one axis. They even did it for Sunshine. They inverted it and then they added an option so you could invert the invert.
If they do it, great, but I don't think they're gonna. And that game's not fun to play anymore. It just isn't. Like, I loved GoldenEye as a kid. I had a huge renaissance with it as a teenager. Like, let's be honest. GoldenEye sucks. Like, I'm sorry. Your memories of GoldenEye are good. It's one of the most important games in history. It is virtually unplayable in 2021.
Well, that's
played
how I
it
felt
alone.
with Mario 64 when I booted it up, and that camera,
Right.
the wonky-ass
And,
camera.
and this camera is so much worse. Do you remember how when you would look in any direction, the way that the controls work? And I'm going to do this for you YouTube viewers, right? Okay, look at my feet. Now let go. Snap back up. Look to the left. Snap back up. Like, that's awful. It's awful. It's awful. And you have to, the C buttons? Use the C buttons? Come on.
You won't be using the C button because there is no C buttons. It'll be a second stick.
Yeah, and it'll still work like Mario 64 did, where there's a second stick, but they make it work like buttons instead of just giving you the ability to swing the camera.
I mean, I don't know what you
They
guys are
fixing it.
complaining about. I 100%ed it on the Switch, so
All right, Chewy, we can't all be esports players like you.
no, the cameras are truly horrible.
All right,
in
here, you know what?
the
Fine.
N64.
Keep talking about it. I'm pulling up footage. Look at this game. This looks terrible.
The multiplayer was so fun, and being able to play that online and Twitch streaming it, I just know it would be a blast. Like,
It'd be
regardless
pretty
of
fun, yeah.
You say that.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd do it once and be like, "Oh God, I hate." Wow, I'm watching somebody do a full playthrough right now on it's Earl Knight Music and Gaming. Thank you for your playthrough. My man took multiple seconds to aim his gun to shoot a fucking lock off of a gate because the aiming in this game is so bad.
I know, but it wouldn't be bad. It's a modern controller, and they would have a setting to invert it. I'm sure. I hope. I'm praying.
You hope, right? I'm glad
Okay,
that
well-
evolved from "I'm sure" to "I hope" to "I'm praying."
Well, I don't even think this game's coming because of licensing issues, and that's like the main concern with that and any of the Rare games. I just don't think they're coming. Like, I don't think we're getting Banjo-Kazooie. I don't think we're getting Conkers.
I think
just
those are
don't-
more likely.
Oh,
Like I could see them making a deal with Rare over like with GoldenEye, because like obviously Rare made GoldenEye, but like it's the James Bond license that's the problem, right?
Yeah, because Rare had the remake that leaked online a few months back. They basically remade it for the Xbox 360 arcade, and they weren't allowed to release it because they didn't have the license for it. It's the Bond license that's the problem with that game.
I continue to not understand that as a concept. Like obviously it makes sense, but like in the abstract. But like I have to wonder. It's like, who? Like what? Do they hate money over at the James Bond camp? Like they're like, oh hey, we want to do a re-release of one of the most popular games ever made with your IP. It's already done. All you need to do is re-up the license with us. And they're like, nah.
I think it's because they do exclusive licenses for like James Bond games, and at the time EA held that license. Remember they were putting out like the 007 racing game. There was Nightfire on the GameCube.
I gotta tell you, I don't remember any of those fucking games.
Oh, I used to love the James Bond games. They were great.
This is the only one I feel like I've ever played. And I feel like every other one is like, everyone's like, oh, maybe this will be like the new GoldenEye, and it never is.
No,
Yeah.
that's true.
I'm watching
I don't know.
level 2 right now, the facility, and you know there's that machine gun. I was like, it's probably like an AK-47. I remember thinking in my entire childhood that gun always looked like one of those makeup pencils. You know, like the black makeup
Mhm.
pencils.
Oh, yeah.
It looks so much like that. This game looks better than I remember it. It's a little blocky.
And I mean, luckily, it's only one of like your top 10, Steve. You could get that one if there's
Oh, well,
nine other ones.
I want the Zelda games on here as well because having my
yeah.
weird ass emulator set up so I can play the game because it's not available for purchasing anywhere else.
On literally any console now because they closed all the fucking virtual consoles. They're all gone.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I would love to be able to play that officially with a modern controller on a modern system and not have some weird ass workaround.
The
I own
3DS
the
isn't modern
cartridge.
enough.
No, because it's not. I can't play it on my TV. You know,
Yeah,
if the
that's
3DS
true,
did
that's
like
true.
TV out, then it would be
Even
fine.
that, right?
I-
Like the only way to do that is with an illegal hack that costs like $300. It's like Nintendo, please give me any way to play these games. Like, I will. What do you need? What do you need from me? Take the money. I'm offering it. You're killing me.
Yeah.
All right. What other games do you want, Steve? What's like a more like, what's a more like realistic one? You think?
I wouldn't mind the Bomberman game coming over that was on.
Oh,
Yeah,
that game
yeah.
was great.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That was like
I liked Bomberman 64,
the multiplayer, and that was so much fun.
and it's probably better than Super Bomberman Online R.
Which would be
Which I
almost
haven't played.
impossible not to do.
What? I love that game.
Just kidding. What do we think the over under is on getting like does Mario 64 come?
Yeah, it has to.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Because that collection's not for sale anymore, and we had this assumption that these games were gonna go on sale separately at some point. I guess they just chuck it in here.
But like, I mean, I guess, right? Do you think that's gonna make people mad?
Yes.
That's true.
I don't think so. I don't think so in the sense of like they're not getting Galaxy on that thing. Wii games probably not coming. GameCube games probably not coming. So like you still get Sunshine and Galaxy out of that, but I would say like Mario 64, it's I guess hearing a lot of people's thoughts on what Mario 64 is now, it doesn't hold up as well with the cameras and the controls and everything. So people struggle with it. And they're like, yeah, I'll play that for free at this point.
Yo.
Or, well, $5 to $15 more.
Steve, it's really funny. I was showing the B-roll that you had pulled up, and it's actually from the remake on DS. I was like, this looks really like smooth for some reason. I was like, oh, this is HD. That's why.
That's the other thing. Like, I really would like some of the 3DS and DS versions of these games to come instead of the originals. Like, I want the Majora's Mask with the updated textures and the better controls from the 3DS rather than the one that's on N64.
Yeah.
And they're not going to come.
No, they're not going to do that, right? So, I know this was Chuy's number one. I think, anyway. It was the first one that you threw out would be Banjo.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crazy to think that would come. The question is Nintendo willing to shell out money for game to put games on these services? And I feel like the answer is no. But it's also like, you know, we saw Banjo come to Smash. Like, they've played a lot of ball with Microsoft recently. Like, it doesn't seem like it's outside the realm of possibility. But
no, that is true. And we did also have those like redacted court documents that spoke about negotiations between Nintendo and Microsoft. And we don't know what they were about. Seemingly wasn't about Game Pass on Switch at this point. Because I just, as much as that was one of my predictions, don't think it's happening.
No.
So it could be bringing some of the rare replay games over to Switch Online. Because they obviously do have quite the collection.
Yeah, and it feels like at this point, how different is that from Cuphead, for example, right? Where it's like, yeah, like you can buy Banjo-Kazooie on the Xbox storefront, but like how many people are? It's free on Game Pass. So like how much does it hurt Microsoft to take a payout from Nintendo to put these games on their streaming service as well when, you know, most people who are going to play them on an Xbox console are playing them for free anyway?
Well, and Rare's done with those games, right? They're on to Sea of Thieves. They don't care about them at this point.
Yeah. And as far as that goes, I don't know, like Cuphead's not where it stops either. Like we've got Ori, we've got Minecraft at that point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's on the Switch that's like Xbox made it. It's not exclusive, but you know, they've made it. And I don't know. I think one of the cool things about the existing online games that we have is that like it's not just Nintendo games. I think they have to bring in others. And when it comes to like third-party stuff, like the N64 was where that went downhill for Nintendo. Like there was not a lot of third-party support on that console. And I feel like Rare is a huge part of Nintendo at that point, and it's a huge part of what they were doing in a lot of the games. So many, like already Donkey Kong 64, that's not even Nintendo. That Rare made that. Like they own the property and everything. There was Diddy Kong Racing, which had a mix of Nintendo characters and Rare characters, and I think basically the only Nintendo character was like Diddy Kong.
I think it's like Diddy and then like Conker and Banjo are in it, and I think everyone else is an original character. If I'm
Yeah,
not
they're
mistaken.
like all original characters for that. And even like the remake for Diddy Kong Racing, I think it was on the DS or
Yeah.
so. All those characters got replaced with like the Kongs and stuff. And I don't know. I just feel like there's a chance for it. There's still third party stuff, and I think Rare is a huge part of the N64 that I don't know. I feel like they can't skip that.
Yeah, and I mean like that. I don't know. I feel like if you completely cut out Rare, like you lose a lot of games that are iconic on the N64. Like Jet Force Gemini is another one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Like that's such an iconic N64 title.
What about Perfect Dark though? Because they're
Perfect
working on the
Dark.
remake of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I think it comes back to that same question, right? Of like, does Xbox care like that? Because like if Xbox allows Perfect Dark to be on Nintendo Switch Online, does that hurt them in any material way? Probably not. Does it help increase brand awareness about Perfect Dark or put it back on people's minds before they're about to remake it? Yeah, it does. And that might be like that benefit might way outweigh whatever loss in profit they could potentially see from it being on Nintendo Switch Online, right? Like I don't see that mattering, because if I want to go play Perfect Dark right now, I have Game Pass and I can download it for free.
Yeah.
I'm already
And,
there.
You know, I could see that. They need to advertise the world's first quadruple A game as Perfect Dark, so they've got to.
Why not
gotta get
leverage
that out,
Nintendo?
yeah.
You know? Yeah. I don't know. I don't like
Yeah.
that doesn't seem that crazy to me.
Wasn't there a game kind of recently, maybe it was like a Capcom game or something where no, maybe it was separate. I thought they added it to the Switch Online service, but I think they just made like a port of the original and then I guess a new game. It's like Ghosts and Goblins or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know. There's also that like opportunity. Say they just revisit some of these games through here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Rare, you've been really busy with Sea of Thieves, but maybe you can have this side group doing some Resurrection type of series."
I
So,
think they would sub it out to someone at that point. It would be like,
yeah,
here's all the assets, here's the source code, just go to town with it. I think the problem we've got, and you raised a good point with Capcom, Square Enix do the same thing. It's they've now finally realized that they've got these valuable assets and IPs that people will keep buying and buying again. And rather than handing them over to Nintendo to put on their services or sell on their behalf, they're making their own collections and they're making their own remakes and remasters of them. And that's why I think we haven't seen, say, the Final Fantasies and the Chrono Triggers and things like that coming to Switch Online before. But, looking at this list that we've assembled, the majority of them are owned by Nintendo and the ones that aren't are Rare. So if they can get Rare on board, I think it'd be fine. The exceptions of stuff that we've already got ports to, like Doom 64.
Pod
That's
Racer.
probably not going to come. Yeah, Pod Racer, Turok, all of those ones, they've already got their own games on the eShop. There's no way they're going to cannibalize those sales by putting them onto the Switch Online service.
Yeah. And frankly, and like, this is absolutely not a shade thing. I think even if you don't get Rare's buy-in, there's enough games here to make a list that's worth playing. Between, again, just looking at the list we came up with before we went live here, right? Mario 64, Mario Party 2, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. DK64 wouldn't matter if they get Rare's buy-in. They own the rights. They can put it out.
Don't own the game, though. They own the rights
No,
to
they
the
do,
property,
though.
though.
They do.
They own the
they
game,
do.
do they?
They do.
They
Donkey
were-
Kong 64 is in a unique, because it's Donkey Kong and it's their IP. That was like Nintendo published Banjo and those other games, but their IP that Rare owned, which is why when Xbox bought Rare, they now own Conker, they own Banjo, whatever.
Okay.
But
And
Nintendo,
DK64 is available on the Wii U eShop
Yes.
too. So I think they have a lot more control over that one.
yeah, because it's that was like more for hire work rather than we're agreeing to publish your next game. So DK64, Mario Kart
Smash.
64, Smash, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Stadium 2, Pokemon Snap, Paper Mario, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards Adventures, Yoshi Story, Pokemon Puzzle League, Star Fox 64, Mario Tennis, there was Mario Golf 64.
Yeah.
Like, that even right there is a list of like 15 really solid games.
Man, I would want Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 alone.
Yeah.
Especially if they came out with their N64 things and they worked with those little adapters and you could plug in
Yes.
your Rumble Pack, your Game Boy thing so you could play your Pokemon on the TV.
I'm all about it.
Might be redundant considering they're probably bringing Game Boy as well.
Here's the
but
thing,
still.
Yeah, you
Chewy.
just
They put
exchange them between them.
they put the Game Boy thing on NSO, and then you can pull your Pokemon Blue, Red, or
Oh,
Yellow, or Gold, Silver,
Sold.
Crystal, and then pull that data into Pokemon Stadium so that you can replicate the experience of getting to play those games through a second game.
And then share them all to your Pokemon home and
Exactly.
trade them. Dope.
That would be
Love it.
insane. All right, so let's jump into the talking point for this week. As I teased earlier, Nintendo dropped a update to Nintendo Switch's system firmware that had a pretty major update, which was finally enabling Bluetooth audio support. I saw a lot of folks, Steve included, who got very excited about the ability to use your AirPods.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I
totally out of
genuinely
nowhere.
couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It was like, it was just like a support image and like a link to support.nintendo just posted on Twitter at 1 a.m. UK time. And it was like, oh, by the way, the new update's out and it adds this. And it's like, okay, that could have been in a direct and everyone would have gone fucking insane for it because we've been asking for it for like 5 years and you decided to only just add it. And it does come with some caveats. Like you look at it and you can kind of get a sense as to why maybe they didn't want to put this in at launch. You can only connect 2 controllers at once when headphones are connected. So you can't have the usual 4 players, but you wouldn't anyway because you're using headphones. So I don't know why that was ever a concern. And it only uses a codec called SBC, which isn't the most optimal codec. So there is a little bit of latency. And it's not the highest quality. But I tried this out on Splatoon. I was playing Splatoon in bed. I wasn't disturbing my partner. And it was insane. I was like, this is magic. I'm using my AirPods and like, it just works. Why was this not in years and years and years ago? If it was all it was a software feature and the hardware was always there all along. It makes no sense to me.
I mean, it is Nintendo. So, Chewy, have you tried this?
No. Funny enough, I don't think I have a Bluetooth headset.
I also
at the
don't.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I guess I
I've
do.
not
My
been able to try
PlayStation
it.
one is technically a Bluetooth headset, but I use it wired.
I'm king of most inconvenient headsets. This one's XLR and a quarter inch.
Yes,
So, like-
my man. What a psycho. I love it.
Yeah.
These are
So,
good ass
I'm-
studio headphones. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
What are they, like Audio
But,
Technica?
I think they are. Yeah.
There you go.
So
So,
yeah, no, I haven't gotten to try it at all, but I like you, Steve, I'm just like, why was this not a thing? It seems so pointless to connect even 2 controllers anyways, because like one person gets the headset and can hear things, and then the other person is just like, sweet pictures on the screen. This
we can
is
both
fun."
share one
Yeah.
ear pod.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess maybe if you're doing it like handheld on a table and you're at a party, you might like, connect to a Bluetooth speaker so the sound's a little bit better. But like that's an edge case. Who's doing that? You know, it's such a strange thing. And I think people could have accepted, oh, I can only play with one friend if I have headphones connected. 4 years ago, we'd have been fine with that. We'd have been okay. It would have been no problem, Nintendo. We get it.
So I wanted to read this comment from Ray, who wrote in about the Bluetooth audio impressions. Ray wrote in and said, "My reaction was kind of dumb. Steve was there for it, LOL. We were about to play Splatoon, and I was like, oh, yes, I can just use my Bluetooth headset to chat while we play. So I connected my headset to the Switch and then sat for like 30 seconds as the realization hit that there's still no voice chat. So I unpaired it and paired it to my phone instead. It's a nice feature for those on the go, but it's not actually what I actually wanted. Wake me up when they add party chat or some equivalent." I did think that was pretty funny.
I mean, that's another thing. So it specifically says Bluetooth microphones cannot be used. So I presume even for games like Fortnite, where you can use headphones plugged in with a microphone, that doesn't work through Bluetooth. So that's another caveat here. So it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than we had, and I'm happy with it for my purposes.
Yeah, I'm glad it's there for you. I'm glad it's there for you and the people who've been waiting for it. Like I saw a lot of people very excited about it. But Ray's question is going to take us into kind of the broader topic I wanted to discuss around here, and we can weave more Bluetooth thoughts in throughout. But we kind of threw out the question of, now that this has been added, what are some other like long asked for features that we feel like the Switch is still missing? And we got a couple people who wrote in. The most common answer definitely seemed to be folders. That was one we saw a lot.
Yeah.
Folders and themes were a common theme here. So this first one came from Stresso over on Twitter, who wrote in and said, "Oh man, easily folders and then themes. I just want to sort games like I did on the Wii U and the 3DS. That's money on the table for them. I don't even know how many I bought on the... Oh, I'm sorry. I guess you mean themes for money on the table for them. I don't even know how many I bought on the 3DS for a PNG and an audio file."
Yeah, it is like a crazy thing. Like they really are just losing out on cash. Can you imagine? And you could even do them as like Nintendo Switch Online things as well. It would be, you get a Mario theme this month because it's Mario's 35th anniversary, and now you get a Zelda one because
It'd be
it's
such a cheap
it's
way
Zelda's
to add value to
birthday.
that service, to be like, there's a new theme every month, and there's a library. Like, you don't have to own it to get the theme. It just they get added.
It's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know why they haven't done
you know
that.
what I mean? Like, that feels like such a no-brainer to be like, oh yeah, cool, you get a library of themes that you can use for free. Otherwise, you have to pay for them. Oh, great, cool. Like, charge $1 for each of them, but they come free with NSO. That seems like such a good idea.
What do you both think about folders? Because I'm just some kind of monster who never organizes anything. So
it's so funny to me how, like, every console, when people are like, what are things you want on it? Everybody says folders. I've never used a folder on any console ever before.
me neither.
I have no idea why I would need it. Because it's like, and that's not me saying, like, you're dumb for wanting folders. If you want folders, God bless. But it's just like, I guess it's just not the way I use my consoles. Because it's usually like, I'm playing maybe 2 to 3 or 4 games at once at any given time max, right? And I just pin those to my, like, on PlayStation it's the cross media bar, on the Switch it's just the lit, like, it's just whatever games I'm using most recently, right? Those are the games I'm jumping into.
For me, I use search exclusively on everything, and the fact that Switch doesn't have search for my library is kind of infuriating. I would love to just be able to do what I can do on Xbox, boot it up and press Y and just search for the game I want.
That's so funny.
Search for whatever I want.
I always just go to my library and then just navigate to the game. Like, it's like, okay, I want to play Splatoon. Boop. S. Bam. Like, okay. I don't know. And, like, I have a lot of games on my Switch, but I mean, I guess I probably don't have as many as some people because I'm a multi-plat player. Like, I have a lot of games on Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox. So, like, if you were just playing on Switch and maybe you have 1,000 games on it now or something, I guess I could understand why you'd want to, have things broken down a little bit more.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't used to see what the appeal was with folders. I didn't use them in any console prior to the Switch, and obviously I can't use it to the on the Switch, so I haven't even used it to this day. But lately, I have been feeling like I am looking for games sometimes. I'm just like, where is this thing? I have this huge list that just like scrolls for a while now on Switch. I've got so many, and I'll just be scrolling through and I'm like, did I miss it? I'm at the bottom of this list. Better go back up. And so I think it's mostly because now I feel like I've been getting a little bit more organized, where I'm just like, all right, here are all the indie games that I'm playing right now.
Sure.
Here's like the Nintendo games I'm still going through. And then, oh, I already beat this game. Let me click on a bunch of other ones so this one will get pushed down to the bottom. And now I'm just like, I want to be able to move that game out of the way. Just be like, all right, I'm going to put this in the beat pile. I'm done with it. I don't need to touch it for a while. Let me just move it out of the way. And so that's what I run into. It's just like, even though folders weren't a thing before, there was at least the option to manually put the games where you want them to be. And that, like, minimum is what I want. I want to be able to, like, take this game that I just finished beating and I'm not going to touch it for a while, put it all the way at the bottom of the list so I don't have to look at it and have it clog up the space until I've played through, what is it, 8 or so games before it gets pushed off, you know?
I wouldn't mind folders thinking about it because I guess I have a collection on Xbox, which is what they call them, which is like games I'm currently playing. It automatically collects some things, it like things in quick resume and puts in a collection. And it would be
I
cool
do
to
like
have,
that.
say, yeah, games that I'm streaming, maybe we would have like in there, or multiplayer games, so I could just have a quick look at the list for when we go and do a Twitch stream.
Sure.
That would be cool. But I know I'm a dreadfully organized person, and hearing what your problem is, Joe, with a big long list, I just think search really is the solution, or even just being able to like select S and it goes to that, because that's how Xbox separates as well. Like you have them in like alphabetical sections rather than just one big list. It also it almost seems like Nintendo made this in 2017 and they were like, this is what we're putting out, and they've not once gone back and looked at it.
Good enough.
And they assumed, yeah, it was like, that's good enough. We've only got a library of like 10 games at the moment on Switch. No one to fill out. We'll get back to it later. And they never ever came back to it later. And it kind of feels like they need to revisit it at some point.
You know, it's funny, like, now that you say that, I'm thinking about it. I actually used to do that on Steam when I actually played PC games. Like, in my Steam library, I have, like, games to beat, games I've beaten, games I was going to do Let's Plays of or whatever. And I think it's just because, like, I don't know, I guess I find, like, PC gaming to be, like, a little bit, like, that's one of the things I don't like about it, is, like, that it's on my computer that I use all these different things for. So, like, I feel like I guess I needed more of that organization. Whereas, like, when I get to my Switch library, it's, like, it's right there, right? Like, it's all, it's just a straight line. But you're certainly not alone there, Stressa. Olaf wrote in and said, folders and themes. That's it. That's the tweet. Not alone. Asobi wrote in and said, folders, menu themes, multimedia apps like Netflix, better playtime counter, like not in 5-hour steps. Of course.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And also to not make me wait like 2 weeks or whatever it is before you tell me how much time I
10
put
days,
in.
yeah.
Yeah,
the
that
whole
drives me
10-day
nuts.
wait.
It drives me
First
absolutely
played
nuts.
9 days ago. It's like, yeah, I know I played it 9 days ago. How long have I played on this game?
Yeah, so that is like the thing that I run up to the most, where I'm just like, why is this setting? That's so ridiculous. I don't need to know how many days ago I played it the first time.
It's better than other platforms like Xbox, which does not have a counter
Just
at all
none.
for some games.
I don't think PlayStation does
Yeah.
either.
I think PlayStation does
man.
somewhere.
On PS5?
I don't know where it is though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You know, the
wish
other thing
we
they-
could get. I was gonna say, I just wish we could get like the 3DS activity log thing on this. It's incredible. It just tells you exactly how long you played something, what your average time playing something was, where that ranks compared to other things, how many times you've like opened the app.
Those
and
are all
played
data
it.
points I would love to have on the Switch.
Yeah, I want to know like how, and it tells you everything like to the second. And I'm
No,
just
that
like,
is
why?
cool. Yeah.
Why
That is
not
the
a
kind of thing that Xbox has for some games. Like if developers put it in, and I think it was like at the beginning of the last generation that they were doing it and then they stopped. But I know Hitman 3 had it, and I was looking through the Hitman 3 stats, and it would be like number of people killed, and like it would count specific statistics in the game and then bring them up onto the thing. And obviously the other thing that those platforms have that the Switch doesn't have is achievements. And every game that Nintendo seemingly makes now
We'll never
has
get
their
that.
own
We'll never
has
get
like
that.
their
Yeah.
own
We are like
included achievements.
3 fucking generations late to this achievement party. Nintendo doesn't give a shit.
But they're putting it in their own games. That's what I don't get. It's like, I'm sure you told me Mario Golf has like an achievements thing. And I know Chewy told me that WarioWare has an achievements thing.
It has
So it's
yeah.
like, it's like, why is this not a system feature
I don't know.
where people can collect these achievements and like show them off and have bragging rights with friends?
I don't know. Nintendo hates friendship. That's the thing. They don't want you
know.
to have a
No
friends list.
usernames.
They don't want you to have usernames. Nothing. No, nothing. Nothing where we can play together. Even though we would like to, they've had all these things about playing together, but all they want to do is keep us apart, Asobi also said, of course, I could say basically everything regarding online play. friend communication, profile customization too, but that's way too big for the Switch to get.
Well, I thought Bluetooth was too big for the Bluetooth audio was too big for the Switch
we
to
are.
get. And now I'm thinking, maybe we'll get some more improvements to that slide over menu so I can see friends that are online and invite them to games. Because we got that new invite system that got added for one game. So maybe we can get that for some more and it can be like a system-wide feature.
Oh man, it's working on basically like all the new online games from Nintendo. It works really well in Mario Golf Super Rush. When that game first came out, first 2 weeks, every single night, I'd be logging in just before bed and I'd see people on and I'd just invite them right away and instantly we were playing together. It's so good and I wish they would retroactively add that to everything.
I
But they
really
haven't.
want it for Splatoon. Like, I've been playing with people recently. I've got back into Splatoon. Splatomatic. You were right, Chewy. That's the one, not the Splooshomatic, the Splashomatic. That's the one to go for.
Yeah.
And it's the smaller RNG. It does it every time. Anyway, that's besides the point. The online matchmaking on the way you have to team up just to play a normal unranked match is insane. You have to like perfectly time right. I'm on the phone and I'm on Discord and I'm like, okay, right, go join a match, and then I'll be like, right, I'm in the lobby. Okay, join, and you have to hope and pray that they've joined just before the match starts and they've made it into the lobby in time.
The fact that we like do that every time we stream together, I'm just like, this is such an ass backwards system. How is there not any thought put toward the ability to make a party? That is something that we have had locked down since Halo on Xbox Live in like 2004.
I don't know why they chose that with like turf in particular, because if you ever unlock ranked, Pete, we can actually make a lobby.
Here's the thing, Chewy. I feel like at this point, my best bet is when Splatoon 3 comes out. Hit the ground running, fresh, clean slate.
Yeah, true.
What's insane is they did it for Salmon Run. And it works perfectly.
I know.
You create a room, people join,
Just
and then you click
invite people.
ZL to invite more people.
What the fuck? Like, why don't you just have the functionality is in the game?
They have 50 different ways to connect to people on Splatoon.
And none of them are good.
They're all different. And I don't know if they'll ever figure it out. Maybe Splatoon 3, but
fingers crossed, man.
Point,
fingers crossed. Would really love for Splatoon 3 to have a better party system. That is my number one request for that game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and this last one comes from Affy, another one of our Patreon supporters, who said it would be too much to ask for themes and folders like the 3DS. I love how almost everybody, themes, folders, that's what we want. That's it. It's so easy, guys.
And I don't get it because I don't want either of those things. I really don't care about theming consoles. I've never done it once.
I like
for any
themes.
console
I like themes
owned.
a lot.
I like themes.
I'm
and
definitely
folders
a theme
we've
guy.
already discussed. I'm a disorganized mess, but I really hope they come for everyone. And no, Affy, to answer your question, it's not too much to ask. Those are basic features that everything else has, and it really should be here, especially if they've added Bluetooth audio. You have to think it's on the way.
I mean, I don't know. I had to think it was on the way in 2017 when I bought my Switch and was like, oh, cool, there's a theme section.
Yeah, it's like, oh, and there's 2 themes. They must be adding more at some point.
They must
There's
have
gonna
more
be
coming.
It's like the 3DS, yeah.
Right? Like, it's nuts. And yeah, I mean, I would love that. I really like themes. That was one of the things I really miss on the PlayStation 5. I really loved the PS4's theme game. They always had really good themes and like custom icons. I had that Undertale one that Pixel Park gave me for years. Like, I love that. I had the Persona 5 ones as I was playing through that.
Changes your home screen music.
Yeah, like I like that. I like being able to give it a refreshing kind of,
I don't remember what home screen music is, Chewy. Like, is that something
We're
that's
so far removed
possible
from
on
it
a
now.
console?
In the 3DS, all the themes gave you a different little song.
And I'll tell you this, right? We don't condone piracy on this podcast, but I have a hacked 3DS that a friend gave me, and I have an Undertale theme on it that was like a custom made one, and I was like, why can't I buy this? Like, why are the best themes ones that people made? It's from the final fight with Asgore, and it's got that theme, which is like one of my favorite Undertale songs, and it's got like all the animation from the fight is like the background.
Really
it's
cool.
so fucking cool. It's so cool.
Man, I need to do the other route that I haven't done in Undertale at some point, and then play Deltarune.
I need
finally.
to as well.
Have you only played it once? Both of you?
Yeah, I have.
I
know you had, Steve.
Yeah, I keep meaning to do the one where you don't kill anyone, and I've not done it yet, and I need to go back and do it.
You need the true ending.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one I have done. I haven't done.
Oh,
the
no, I
kill
didn't do
everything.
that.
But you can't get the true pacifist ending the first time, Chewy. You have to play a second time to get the true ending.
I think
Did you
I
beat
kind
it?
of did though.
Okay, if you beat it twice, then you're good.
There was like a kind of ending, and then there was like it kept going afterwards.
Okay, you're probably good then. I think you probably have experienced the true ending then.
Yeah.
Whereas I was like, oh no, you're a spider. Go away. You're dead. See ya. And
well, you can't do it the first time anyway. Like you have to do it a second time.
I
think you have to do
tried.
that one.
I did try to not kill anyone, but they wouldn't let me.
That's good enough. That's okay. Everybody makes a few mistakes the first time.
Yeah.
I do need to get back to play that game, and then Deltarune, and then Deltarune Chapter 2.
We're gonna talk about Deltarune Chapter 2 later this week on Flip Screen Games. Chewy, if you have time to play and catch up, you should come join us. But I replayed Chapter 1 this weekend in preparation for Chapter 2 because I remember Toby Fox had made the message of like, oh, like if you remember enough about Chapter 1, you can just start Chapter 2, and I was like, well, I don't, so let's play it again.
It's been a while now since that came out.
Yeah, it was worth the replay. I'm glad I got the refresher on it. But yeah, if you want to
good.
see some thoughts on Deltarune, we'll have that later this week. Or no,
No,
we're recording later. It'll be on Monday. I'm still fucked up with that. Like I still am thinking about how we record them versus how we put them out, and I get it wrong probably 50% of the time. But anyway, we'll have thoughts for Deltarune Chapter 2 for you on the next show. I can say that. There you go. That's a safe one. So thank you guys for joining us here in another episode of Nintendo Noise. If you want to write in with your thoughts on either of these stories, if you didn't already, please do. Like I said, there are a number of ways you can do that. We've got a thread we throw up on Twitter every week. We are at Flipscreen Games on Twitter. You can come join our Discord where we have a weekly thread for both shows where we source questions and let people know what we're going to be talking about. And then, of course, you can write to us at questions@flipscreen.games if email is more your bag. Like if you're like a boomer or something, right? Isn't that always the joke the kids make? Do kids even have email addresses anymore? Who knows? I don't know. You write in and tell me.
I don't know.
You gotta keep me young. Let me know. Keep me honest. Anyway, go check out all the other stuff we do. Remember, Twitch streams on Thursdays. You can get one more thing, our Patreon exclusive podcast every Monday if you go and back us at that $2 level or above. We got a bunch of other really cool perks over there, including the ability for you to listen to the show a day early. So yeah, go check it out. It's the best way to show your support, get some extra stuff from us, and keep the good times rolling. So until next week, I've been Pete, he's been Steve, he's been Chewy, we've been Nintendo Noise. See you next week.